Whether everybody have seen the message?
I think they did.
Okay, can we start?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so do you have any doubt with the previous topics?
No from me, miss.
So we have seen till labor. Today we will see the postnatal period and its like PT role during the postnatal period. So like earlier we have seen pregnancy is not a disease, it is just a physiological changes that is taking place in every woman's life. Even this postnatal period also is a normal one, and we don't need to bother much for women to return back to their original position. But only thing is, as a PT, if we interfere a little bit, we will be able to help them to return back to their original shape and original position in a very short duration, or without much of problem they will be able to return back to normal. If we don't intervene, then it may take a longer time. Some people may not be able to return back to their original shape and size. Is that clear? But as per nature, the women will be able to return back to their original shape and size if they return back to their original physical activity. Is that clear? Okay, so this postnatal time is a period. It is also called as a recover period or returning back to normal period, and it starts immediately after the delivery of the baby, and maximum to 6 weeks of the postnatal time. Okay, 6 weeks of the time. So from the delivery of the baby till 1.5 months, we call it as postnatal period. So within this 6 months, 6 weeks, sorry, within the 6 weeks, they are supposed to return back to their original time. Within this six weeks, they are supposed to return back to their original time. Okay, sorry, original position. So original position, when we say, it is not only the cosmetic appearance, it is like the inside, the ligaments inside the muscle, everything have to return back to its original position. Is that clear? So that is what we call it as postnatal period. So during this time, if you see, the women definitely will be having little very tough time, because the body will be shapeless, the muscles will be swollen and very loose and slagging. Like the abdomen, if you see, the abdomen must be like bigger for nearly 9 months, and suddenly when they are removing the baby, like when the baby comes out, the whole abdomen will looks like an empty, and it will be moving here and there. It will be like a loose sack. So whenever some people will find it very difficult even turning in the bed. So if they want to turn in the bed, the abdomen will be loosely just banging here and there. So whenever they are walking, the abdomen will be moving very loose here and there. So with all these difficulty, it will be like a mixed feeling for the mother. So like she will be very thrilled to see the newborn baby and to have the new responsibility. At the same time, she will find it very difficult with her body, because the body will not yield to the new responsibility immediately. Okay, so most of the women, because of this physical difficulty, they will end up in a lot of postnatal blooms or psychological issue. Sometimes they will go to an extreme that they may kill the baby also. Okay, so this is really a crucial time. So as a PT, we need to talk to them more and more, and we have to convince them that they definitely will be going back to their original position. Okay, so it is not, I don't think that it is only a cosmetic reason. It is not a cosmetic reason. It is most of like physical problem as well as like physiological problem also. So during this time, their difficulty will be like uncontrolled abdominal movement. Then they will be having edema throughout the body, most of the time in the feet, and throughout the body. They will be having a very painful perineum. So they will not be able to urinate properly. They will not be able to defecate properly. They will be having pain. They will be having difficulty in squatting. All these problem will be there. Along with that, they will be having incontinence problem, because of weak abdominal pelvic floor muscle. They will be having incontinence problem. So apart from this, like psychologically, they will have some problem like euphoria, delusion, disappointment, all those things. Why? Because like they may be expecting a girl child and they got a boy child, like that. Issues will be, gender issues will be there for some people, and in some countries, because most of the countries they will be informing them the gender, so they will not have any surprise during the delivery. But some countries they don't reveal the gender, so those people will have this disappointments. Some people would have expected a very fair baby, or some people would have expected very dark baby. So all these things and all will lead to some disappointments. So this disappointment, along with the insomnia, because the additional responsibility of the newborn, the baby will be finding it difficult to get adapt to the new environment, so it will be crying throughout the night. So all these will lead to insomnia, and this insomnia will lead to some psychological issue. Is that clear? So these are the problems they will be encountering during postnatal time. So physiological things, if you see, just a minute, I'll come. So as a PT, we want to know what are the physiological changes that is taking place in the postnatal time and how we will be able to help them. So the first thing is the all the hormones, everything will return back to its original limit. So some hormones will be secreted more because during the delivery. Some hormones will be secreted very less to maintain the delivery or to help the labor. So all these hormones will just reverse back and it will go to the original limit. So 2 mm, 3 mm per day means it will go to that particular limit. So as it is going to the original limit, the physiological changes also will reverse back. Like the first is like the muscles and the ligament. So the ligaments and the connective tissues will undergo a softness, and it will be undergoing it will be more smooth, and it will be undergoing more elastic in nature. It will allow more movement, and it will be allowing little bit uh, lagness in the joint. So this will reverse back, but this reverse back, the complete reverse back will take up at least 4 to 5 months. Okay, so because the collagen fiber itself will change its type. So normally if it is the type 2 collagen, now it will be changing to type 1 collagen. So when this ligament and the collagen will be changing its like fibrous types to the original one. So for that it will minimum take 4 to 5 months. Is that clear? Then the abdomen, if you see, it will be stretched and it will be elongated to the maximum, and because of the elongation there will be a separation in the rectus abdominal muscle in the middle. So if you see, there will be a separation point, and that is called as linea alba. So this linea alba have to go back to its original, or the gap has to be, the separation has to fuse together. Okay, so for all these also it will take 4 to 5 months. So this, the first thing is the ligament and the muscle have to go back to the original position, so that it doesn't allow much of movement, or it doesn't allow excessive movement apart from the normal range of motion. Okay, for example, the pelvic joint will not move in the normal case. The pubic joint will not have any movement. The SI joint will not have any movement in the normal time. All these have to reverse back. So for this, the ligaments, the hormones will be going back to the original thing. Okay, so here if you see, this is the uh, before pregnancy time. So there will be a small line between the two recti muscle, but after the pregnancy, if you see, the separation will be huge like this. So this whole thing have to go back. So once it is going back only, the abdominal looseness or flobbiness will reduce. Then the next muscle is pelvic floor muscle. So in case if they undergo a normal delivery, definitely the pelvic floor muscle will be the weakest of everything. So it will be the when the baby is coming out, it will be pushing the muscle, or it will be undergoing the maximum stretch. So because of that, the muscle will become more weaker, and along with that, if they have any episiotomy tear, then the area will be having a cut, and the area have to heal, and the perineum have to heal and return back to normal. Okay, so this is about the pelvic floor muscle. So when sometimes during the delivery, there may be a neurological damage. So neurological damage, like in case if it is pushing, when the baby's head is coming out, if it is pushing the nerve, or if it is pulling the nerve, then there may be a neurological damage. And this neurological damage will again lead to pelvic floor muscle weakness. Okay, so all these also have to go back. Then, so this is about muscles and the ligament. So one thing is the hormone have to reverse back. Along with that, the swollen part or the muscle have to be strengthened so that it goes back to normal. So that's why we play a role. So the hormone will go back by itself. We don't need to play any role, but the muscles have to be strengthened. So that is our role. Okay, so that is the first point. Second is they will be having edema. So this edema will be there immediately after postpartum period, because sometimes during the pregnancy they may be giving lot of IV fluids. In IV fluids means intravenous fluids. So this fluids will be getting stagnant in the legs, and this may lead to heaviness, or this may lead to swelling of the feet. So especially if they are in the bed for uh, 12 hours or 18 hours, immediately when they get down, and they may find it very difficult because of the swelling. So this is the second thing. Third is they will definitely will have a back pain because of the loose joints. That is, the joints, everything will become very loose, and they will be in this they will be in a lithotomy position. Lithotomy position is the Fowler's position during the second stage of labor. So if the second stage of labor, for some people it will take 2 hours to 48 hours. So if it is taking longer time, because of the position, they may have the back pain. Okay, so then poor position, because during feeding and nappy changing, and like a lot of the additional duties sometimes will lead to poor position, poor posture. So not only that, when the abdominal muscles are weaker, the back muscles will be stretched, and this also will lead to weakness of the back muscles, and this will lead to back pain. Okay, then regarding the breast will start to secrete the milk. So this will lead to fullness of the breast, or this is called as encouragement. So the baby, as the baby starts to suck, the milk will start to secrete. So this will be, even though if it is according to the amount of milk sucking by the baby, but sometimes the mother will feel a fullness, and they may feel some heaviness. Some people rarely will it will be painful for them. Okay, so all this will lead to difficulty in the upper thoracic region. Okay, so maybe they will have pain, they will be having posture abnormality, they will have some difficulty in wearing the upper dress, and a lot of things will be there in the breast. Then the psychological state. So again, it is like a mixed feeling. One is like the body will not immediately get adopted to the new responsibility. So new responsibility is suddenly the baby will take little longer time for getting accommodated to the external environment. So till nearly for 9 to 10 months, the baby is inside the uterus. The inside the uterus, the temperature will be very warm, and it will be very safe and secure, and the place will be very small, so the baby will not be able to move their hands and legs properly. But immediately when it is coming out, first is the climatic, that is the temperature change will be there. So the baby have to get accommodated to the temperature change. So not only that, when the baby starts to move its legs and hands, it will not feel the uterus, so it will have more space, so it will get scared, as if it is coming out, and as if it is just outside. It will not feel that secure. Okay, so then another thing is the baby will be keep on hearing the mother's heartbeat in the uterus. So once it is outside, it will be having a very feeble. If the mother is little bit away, then they will not hear the heartbeat. So all this will lead to discomfort to the baby, and the baby will be keep on crying. So slowly it will take at least 10 days to 15 days for the baby to come back, get adopted to the new environment. So during this time, the mother's body, physical body also will not help to go back to its original, will not help to for the additional responsibility, and the mother will be completely preoccupied. So completely preoccupied, she sometimes she may not be able to urinate, or she may not be able to defecate also. So they will not find time for their own. Okay, so all these things will lead to some psychological difficulties. Okay, so these are the things the mother will be going through. So as a PT, before going into the role, role of the physiotherapy. So we need to know what are the things they are going through. So accordingly, we will be able to give them the treatment. Then, so what is routine postnatal care? So, like our antenatal care, this routine postnatal care is also looked after by a team of people. It is not a single, so it is looked after by a team of people. Okay, and this will routine antenatal care will take up for 3 days, like minimum 3 days to 5 days, so depending on their discharge time. So now in case if they have delivered normally, so they will be discharged from 6 hours, like within 6 hours till 3 days they will be getting discharged. If it is cesarean section, then it may take a week time. So depending on the time, the routine antenatal care time also will be varying. So during that time, the nurses will be acting. So they will be teaching how to breastfeed and how to breastfeed, how to do the nappy changing, all those things they will be teaching the mother. So as a PT, we have to go and teach them the exercises and the proper posture during feeding and during nappy changing. Okay, so then doctors will be taking care in their own way. So, like a team, they will be handled throughout this routine antenatal, postnatal care. So, the first major thing immediately after the baby is born is establishing the breastfeeding. So, this is very important. We cannot just say that immediately after delivery they will be getting the milk. So, some people it will be very normal thing. For some people, it will be very strenuous, and they may have some problem in feeding the baby. They may find very difficult in establishing, means that the first time milk secretion will be a little bit problematic for the mother. And it is not that every mother will know how to feed it. So they might find it very difficult when they are feeding, or they might feel very difficult how to hold the baby or how to handle the baby and make the baby to drink. So if the baby is not hold properly and the baby is not comfortably positioned, then it may not be drinking the milk properly. Is that clear? So the first thing is her positioning should be very proper. The positioning should not hurt the mother, as well as it should not be discomfort to the baby. So first thing is the mother has to be positioned properly so that she uh, doesn't get back pain, or she doesn't have any problem at the later time. And at the same time, the baby also have to be positioned comfortably so that it is it is able to suck, or it is able to feed properly. Okay, so the baby must be lie on its side facing the breast in such a way that the nipple has to draw inside the baby's mouth. Okay, so inside the nipple has to go inside the baby's mouth against the hard palate. If it is going under the tongue, then automatically the baby will start to suck. So this is because of the suckling reflex. Okay, so the baby will start to suck slowly. So the main thing is the nipple has to be drawn inside the baby's mouth. So that is very important. And the nipple has to be in such a position that it should be downwards and it should be towards the mouth. Okay, then the mother should be comfortable, and she should be very much relaxed so that the milk is secreted properly. If the mother is in tension, if she is in a very hurry mood, or if she is in a very uh, uh, having severe pain, and if she is having a lot of other discomforts, the milk will not be secreted properly. So this is very important, especially at the first time. Okay, then. So during this time, like during establishing the breast milk, they may have pain. So for the pain, we need to give them some pain management, like give them proper support. So support in sense, we need to give them proper pillow. So pillow at the back, pillow at the lap, so that they are able to sit properly. We will see this again later when we are seeing the PT role. Okay, so positioning and support is very important. And you can also treat them with TENS, and pulse electric magnetic energy also can be given, so that it reduces help them to reduce the pain. Okay, so all these are very important for establishing the first feeding, especially first feeding. Okay, then so this is done. This establishing the breast milk will be immediately after the birth of the baby. For some people, it will be taking some time slow. Some people, it will take a week, or for some people, it will take some few days. Okay, so few hours to few days it will take for them to establish the breastfeeding. Then, so routine antenatal postnatal checkup will take place for 6 weeks. So during this 6 weeks, it's not that every week they have to come and visit the doctor. So after the delivery, after the discharge, they will be coming and visiting the doctor after a week. Then based on that, they will be again they will be asked. The doctors will ask them to come back and visit them according to their body situation. Okay, so every time when they are coming, they will be checking their blood pressure, they will be checking their breast, abdominal status, and the uterine involution. So uterine involution means, so the after the second month of the pregnancy, the uterus will be coming into the abdominal cavity from the pelvic cavity. So now the uterus will be in the abdomen cavity. Slowly it has to go back into the pelvic cavity. So this is called as pelvic involution or uterine involution. Okay, so this is called as uterine involution. So it will be, it has to undergo, it has to become, it has to shrink, and it has to go into the pelvic cavity, and it has to go to its previous original position. Okay, so for that it may take the 6 weeks time. Okay, so these are the things the doctors will be checking up. Apart from that, they will be checking the perineal area, how is the episiotomy tear, whether it is healing, whether it is like they will be checking the status of the cervix, whether it is getting closed, or all those things the doctors will be checking. So sometimes they will be performing a smear test. So nowadays, immediately after delivery, they are performing this smear test to check for the culture. Okay, so to check whether they have any infection, to check whether they have any infection, or to check whether they have any abnormalities in the cells. So for that, they will take the smear test. Okay. Then, so during this time, they will be discussing about contraception, because immediately they should not go for the next pregnancy. They have to wait at least for 2 to 3 years for their whole body to come back to its original shape and size. Okay, so the contraception methods and the contraception types will be discussed with the patient. Sorry, not patients, with the mother. Then, along with that, if the mother has any other problem, that also will be discussed. Okay, so what is the role of physiotherapist? First is we need to assess them. So completely we need to assess them. Then according to the assessment, we have to plan the treatment. Okay, so first do the assessment, then according to the assessment we have to plan out the treatment. So along with the exercise and along with the posture care or along with our PT role, we need to have some more awareness. So we need to create some more awareness to the mother. So first is regarding the perineal area. So they have to maintain the perineal area in a very hygienic form. So that is very important. So they have to maintain the area very hygienic form. So you need to help them, or you need to teach them how to void, how to sit, and how to clean the particular area. So all those things you can teach them. So this is creating awareness about the hygiene. And regarding the sexual problem they will be having immediately after postnatal time. Then in case if it is cesarean section, then accordingly you need to teach the exercises. Okay, so or you need to teach them the awareness how to you need to create an awareness that what are the possible problems they might have at the later stage. So create awareness towards that. Then you stress the importance of doing the exercises. For example, if they don't do exercises, then what are the problems they will be facing at the later time? So later time they may have pelvic prolapse, later time they may have any uh, prolapse like bladder prolapse or bowel prolapse or uterine prolapse. So in case of normal delivery, in case of cesarean section, then they might have problems like hernia and other things. So all these things you have to create an awareness for them. Then give stress the importance of exercises. So if they don't do exercises, what are the complications they will be having? So all these things you have to uh, tell them and create an awareness so that they come to the PT in a proper manner. Okay, then teach them the postnatal exercises. So postnatal exercises will be including the abdomen, then the pelvic floor. Along with that, what is the posture and how to cope up with the regular responsibility. So all these things will be included in the postnatal home exercises. Okay, so this PT part we will be seeing in detail after this particular topic, after this problem slides we will be seeing in detail. We have to see how to assess, then we have to see what is the role. Okay, so we will be seeing the PT role again. So now what are the immediate problems the mother will be having after the delivery? So first thing is perineal dysfunction or perineal pain. So as I have said earlier, so when the baby is coming out, it will be giving lot of stitch in the birth canal, and this will lead to some tears. Sometimes this will lead to hematoma. Sometimes this will lead to bruises, and sometimes this will lead to edema and other things. So apart from that, if they have done a perineotomy, or if they have done a episiotomy, then they will be having pain, and they will be having tightness in the stitches. They might have an infection, or they might find it difficult to void. So we need to check the area. We need to see the hygiene of the area. Then we have to teach them how to clean the area properly. Check the healing process. If the healing process is not healthy, then we can give some treatment. So the treatment will be, you can use ultrasound. This ultrasound will accelerate the healing process. Okay, so this ultrasound will help you to increase the vascularity, and this will help you to increase the uh, stages, or it will fasten the healing stages. This is one thing. Other than that, you can also give pulsed short wave. So this will help you to reduce the swelling and inflammation. So not only that, you can also give IRR. So when you give IRR, it will be helping to increasing the healing process. Okay, so first, like as a modality, you can give ultrasound, you can give shortwave, pulse shortwave, you can also give IRR. This will enhance the healing process. And other than that, you have to teach them the hygiene properly, so that they keep the area very sterile, and they avoid any infection. Okay, so other than that, you can also teach them good pelvic floor exercises. So this pelvic floor exercises, you have to start the exercises in lying, then slowly you can go into sitting and other position. So teach them pelvic floor exercises. When they do pelvic floor exercises, it will increase the circulation, and when it is increasing the circulation, the healing process will be enhanced. So other than that, if they have any problem in sitting, then you can advise them to sit over a donut pillow. So this will help them to sit comfortably without any problem. Okay, so sit over a donut pillow, that is a very effective one during feeding and during other sitting time. Okay, then you can also give crushed ice. So crushed ice will increase the circulation, and this increase in the circulation will help you to increase the healing process. So how to give the crushed ice is, you have to wrap the crushed ice in a sterile gauze or any disposable cloth or any glove or anything, then place this ice over the in a sanitary towel and place keep the ice do the ice cube massage over the perineal area. Okay, so this will help you to increase the circulation. The next is warm bath and biddles. So warm bath is nothing but like giving a warm water wash over to that area will soothe the muscles, and this will help you to reduce the pain. Then this biddles means it is like a small tub. You have to give a warm water in a small tub. Along with that, if you want to add any medications, you can add it. Then you have to ask the person to sit inside the basin. Okay, so the person have to sit inside the basin, so that the warm water will help them to enhance the healing process. Okay, so this is called biddets. Okay, so the ultrasound, whenever you are using, you can go for pulsed ultrasound. So this is initially you have to use 3 megahertz, because it is only you are going to give treatment only in the superficial area. So you have to use 3 megahertz. Then you are supposed to you are supposed to give in a circular mode. The intensity can be 0.5. Then you have to do it in a circular and not more than 2 minutes in a particular area. It has to be keep on rotated, and it has to be maximum for 6 minutes. So this is ultrasound. Then in pulsed electromagnetic energy, the dose has to be very, very mild. You should not be like it is same like your short wave. So you have to push, you can push in the pad, or you can push in the you will be having a small disc electrode. So you can use a small disc electrode, and you can give the treatment. The intensity of the treatment should be very, very mild. So that one you have to keep in mind. Okay, so next problem is genitourinary dysfunction. So genitourinary dysfunction is, again, it is like pain or uh, dysfunction. So dysfunction will be like incontinence, fecal incontinence, urinary incontinence, sometimes constipation, or sometimes urinary retention. So incontinence is because of pelvic floor muscle weakness. So you can teach them good pelvic floor muscle strengthening, so that they can avoid this incontinence problem. Okay, next is the constipation. The constipation is because the abdominal muscles are very loose and slagging. So even though if they eat properly also, it will not help them to push the fecus outside. So it needs certain pressure to push the fecus outside. If they don't have the pressure, because the abdomen muscles are bigger, loose, and the abdominal area is very loose and lax, so this will not create that but enough pressure to push the material in the intestine outside. Okay, so along with that, the dieting, in case if they have undergone any cesarean section, because of the anesthesial effect, again the smooth muscles will undergo looseness, and the food particles will remain in the intestine for longer time, and the intestine will not be pushing the fecal material out. So this will lead to constipation. Okay, so to treat that, you have to give them good diet advice. So diet advice is eat properly, eat more of fiber diet compared to normal diet. So that is very, very important. So the fiber will be pushing the content outside. So you need some pressure to push the content outside. So some of the people may not be going for defecation for 2 or 3 days. That is because they would not have ate properly. Okay, so that may be the only reason for this. Then urinary retention. So fear of perineal pain. So whenever they are avoiding the perineal area, sometimes may be painful, and sometimes may because of the bruises and other thing, they may find difficult to urinate. So because of that, what they will do, they will try to retain the urine. They will not, whenever they feel like urinating, they don't go for urination, they will try to retain. So this will lead to urinary retention. So for this, you have to give the awareness to the patient. Next is musculoskeletal problems. The first problem is diastasis recti. So we will see this when we are, I will show you the video how to assess this diastasis recti. This is a very common problem and most of the women will have this diastasis recti. So diastasis recti is nothing but separation of the abdomen rectus muscle. Okay, so the edges of the rectus muscle will not be close in a close approximately. It must be pulled away. So this is called as diastasis recti. So for this, you have to, according to the grading, you have to give the treatment. So for assessment, what you have to do is you have to make the mother lie down in a crook lying position, then palpate the area above and uh, below the umbilicus. So they have to palpate using the fingertips above and below the umbilicus and see whether the muscle is separated or the muscle is together. So if the muscle is separated, then you have to measure what is the length of the height and width of the problem. Okay, according to that, based on that, you have to give the treatment for them. Okay, so if they have separations 2 to 4 centimeter, then it is mild. If the separation is 4 to 6 centimeter, then it is moderate. If the separation is 6 centimeters and above, then it is very severe. So in case if it is very severe, then you have to give them abdominal binders. So in case if you have the other three mild and moderate, then you can go with the exercises. So exercises, first is isometric abdominal exercises, then you can teach them bracing abdominal exercises. That is very, very important. Is that clear? So that is for your diastasis recti. So again, we will see this diastasis recti again. So next problem is symphysis pubis pain. So as we know, normally this joints will not have any movement, but during pregnancy, especially during the third trimester of pregnancy and during the labor, the joints will undergo elongation, or the joint will undergo smoothness, and it will move a little bit. So since it is a sudden movement, this sometimes men may be having some underriding problem or overriding problem. Okay, so they might have pain. Sometimes the pain will be unilateral, sometimes the pain will be bilateral. So you have to teach them how to sit in the car and how to get up, how to walk, all those things you have to teach them. So sometimes if they have very severe pain during walking, then you have to teach them. You can also give them the weight bearing exercise. That is very, very important. Okay. So management is, you can go for mobilization with grading, and you can give them walking aid in case if they are not able to stand properly. So according to the grading, you can also go for gapping technique. So we have already seen what is gapping technique. So you are supposed to do the gapping technique, and you have supposed to align the joint properly. This will help you to reduce the pain. Okay, so sometimes when they are moving in the bed, they might find it very difficult. So especially when they are moving in the bed, that is when they are turning in the bed, they will be finding it so difficult, so painful. So for this, what you are supposed to do is you have supposed to ask the person to keep the feet together. That is in adduction, ADD. Then you are supposed to turn to one side so that you don't have much pain. Okay, so this is for your symphysis pubis. Along with that, you can also give ultrasound icing. This will help them to reduce the pain, and this will help them to reduce the edema. So next is sexual problems. So the new role is definitely here. One thing is it's a hectic role, and it will take little time for the mother to get used to this new responsibility. So if they have additional supporting persons, like the husband is so supportive, or like other in-laws, or like other family members support, then they will be able to take up the responsibility properly. If not, it is going to be a very tough time. Then not only that, because of the hormonal changes, they will not get that desire for the sexual intercourse. So the husband may be more interested, but the wife will not be having that much interest, and she will be mainly concentrating on the baby, and she will not be keen attention for these activities. So this will lead to little bit rebel among the couples. Sometimes they will completely lose their libido. So all these things will lead to some quarrel or some problem with the husband, within the family. So you have to advise them in the first day itself regarding their difficulty. And sometimes the mother will feel that when they do, because of the episiotomy tear, they might have more severe pain. Okay, so all these things you have to give the proper awareness, and you can advise them that they can go for the intercourse after 1.5 to 2 months. So exercises we will see late. We will see the then last problem is puerperal psychosis. So this is the more severe psychological issue. So here what will happen is the mother sometimes will totally lose contact with the reality. She will think that the baby is the only reason behind her physical appearance. So because of the baby only, she got all this loose abdomen and she's not able to cope up with it. All these situation will push them towards towards delusion, hallucination, or extreme mood swing will be there. So this will lead to intense agitation, anxiety, and sometimes they will try to do suicide also. Or sometimes they will throw the baby, they will beat the baby, and they will try to push the baby outside. So all these things will be there in case if they are going to this severe problem of puerperal psychosis. So as a PT, our work is to avoid this particular problem. So you have to give them the awareness, you have to keep on talking so that they don't end up in this puerperal psychosis. Especially you need to teach advisors to the caretakers, okay, so that they take up the responsibility properly and they take up the things properly. Okay, so this one you have to give awareness to the partner, okay, so that the mother will not have this puerperal psychosis. Even if they have the puerperal psychosis also, they are supposed to come back to they are supposed to go for the counseling at the early stage. So immediately they have to be picked up and they have to go for counseling session, or they have to go for psychological counseling session, so that they don't end up in suicidal attempt, or they don't end up in infanticides means they will be killing the baby. Okay, so you have to avoid those things. Okay, so these are the immediate problem the mother will be facing. So long term problem will be they may have long term problem means maybe after 6 weeks. So even after 6 weeks or so, they will be having perineal pain and vaginal pain. So this is like you need to give them if they are doing the pelvic floor exercise and other thing normally, then you can check what is the problem, whether it is just a psychological issue, or whether they have any problem in wound healing, or whether they have any tightness in the stitches, whether the stitches are properly done. All those things you can check it. Then dyspareunia is painful intercourse. So this is a common thing after normal delivery. So this is because of one thing is because of uh, uh, episiotomy tear. So they will be undergoing a suture, and the suture will heal and the scar tissue will be there, and when they go for intercourse it will be more painful. Then other thing is the mother definitely will have little lesser libido. That is because like she has to have an additional responsibility of the baby, and she might need some lot of sleep and other things. Okay, so they might have they will not have the interest, and because of lack of interest they will be having very less moisturizing. Okay, so the lubrication will be very less, so this also will lead to painful intercourse. So you can advise them to apply for an external lubrication, or you can advise them to go for a lot of foreplay so that the mother is getting excited and will be able to produce enough lubrication during the intercourse. Then back pain, because of the postural abnormality, they may end up in back pain. Diastasis recti abdominis, this also will be there. Then mastitis and breast abscess, in case if the baby is not feeding properly, taking the milk properly, whatever milk is produced have to be let it out. If it is not, let it out. And if they are not feeding and if they are just remaining, then the breast will undergo encroachment and later it may undergo inflammation. So inflammation of the breast is called as mastitis. Is that clear? Then they may also have some abscess. Okay, so all these things you have to check and you have to send them on the day of discharge. Okay, then stress and fecal incontinence because of weak pelvic floor muscle. Then diastasis symphysis pubis pain because of the pubic symphysis, because of the pubic bone will be moving because of the laxity of the area. So that one you can advise them to go for adductor muscle exercises so that they strengthen the adductor muscle more. So that will lead to reduce symphysis pubis pain, or that will lead to that will not allow the symphysis pubis to move. Okay, so they will not have pain. Then hair loss, this is because after the delivery, lot of vitamins and the minerals will not be there in the mother's body. This is one thing. Another thing is the milk, when the mother is breastfeeding, the milk will be taking lot of calcium, proteins and other minerals. Okay, so the mother will be having lesser minerals intake and this will lead to hair loss. So they are supposed to go for good vitamin supplements. They are supposed to go for proper healthy diet so that they don't have this. They don't have the hair loss problem. The next is postnatal depression. This is because if they are not able to take up the new responsibility. So we know what is the uh, answer for this. Then carpal tunnel syndrome, in case if they have edema in the extremities, they may have this carpal tunnel syndrome, that is compression of the medial nerve in the retinaculum. So this will lead to the edema in the breast will lead to this carpal tunnel problem. So reduce the edema, then you will be able to reduce the carpal tunnel syndrome. Postnatal depression, you need to be take care of this, otherwise they will end up in puerperal psychosis, which is a very severe form of psychological issue. So when they have postnatal depression itself, you have to sit and talk with them. So especially the physiotherapist should spend some time with the couples. So that's very important. Okay, sit and talk with them so that they come out of this depression as early as possible. Okay, then lack of libido, ankle swelling, abnormality in the body, physical appearance, all this will lead to depression. Okay, so these are the problems the mother will be having immediately and as a long term. So as a PT, we will be having a role in all these areas. Is that clear? So we will go for a short break. Then after the break, we will go to the PT role. That is, we will see the assessment and the management. Okay. Sorry. Can we start? Can we start? Are you all there?
Yes, Miss. Can.
So now we will see the PT role or practical aspect of the PT role during the postnatal time. So first we will see how to do the assessment. Then we will go into the, then I will show you some videos so that we'll get good, we will get the complete understanding of the assessment. Okay. So first thing, like our antenatal, the postnatal also, rather than doing lot of assessment, we will be a lot of uh, rather than doing lot of objective assessment, we will be doing we will be doing subjective assessment. That means we will be getting most of the things uh, in the history, because we will not be able to assess her much. Okay. So first is like subjective assessment. We will be getting the demographic data like name, age, weight, height, BMI, marital status, occupation, hobbies. See, marital status, it is for European countries. Okay. So occupation, hobbies to for us, so that we will be able to give them the exercises along with the hobby. So we will get the hobby and occupation. We need to check whether the occupation is going to affect them. So for that we have to know about the occupation. Okay. uh, then after the demographic data, we have to check for the chief complaints. So most of the time, chief complaints will be uh, loose abdomen, as the abdomen is just slagging here and there. So loose abdomen, then incontinence, pain in the pelvis, back, thoracic area, swollen feet, breast soreness, heaviness, cracked nipples, encroachment, blocked ducts. So these are some of the things. So we don't say that all the things will be there in the particular women. So some may have few of it, some may not have anything, some may have all of it. Okay, so it is again it is uh, again it is depends on the mother. Okay, so like I have written almost the common chief complaints, but it doesn't mean that everything should be there. So according to the mother, you have to take up what are the common problems they are having. Okay, so other things like when you talk more detail, then they will say that tiredness, depression, loss of libido also. So these are the chief complaints. Then in history taking, in the present history, you need to ask about what is the onset of the problem. So most of the time, the onset of the problem is after the delivery. Some problems like back pain may be before the delivery also, they may have. So get the onset of the problem. In case if the mother doesn't have any chief complaint, then you will not have this present history. Okay, so if the mother has any chief complaint, then you can ask about this present history. Personal history will be like whether they have the habit of smoking. In case if they have the habit of smoking and drinking, whether they have stopped those two. So that one you have to ask. Then hobbies, then their diet details. This is to help them to avoid the constipation. You need to know about the diet. Then you can give then anorectal function is what is the frequency of defecation, whether they have constipation, whether it is painful or whether it is normal. Okay, so that one for the anorectal function. Then medical history, you need to ask whether they have any medical problem. In case if they have medical problem, whether they are taking any medication for it. Then obstructive history is G, P, A, and L. So G is gravida, number of pregnancy. P is parity, number of delivery, and A is abortion, number of abortion. L is number of live children. So in parity, you need to ask what is the type of delivery they had, whether they had a normal delivery, that is vaginal delivery, or whether they had a cesarean section. So in cesarean section, whether it is midline cesarean section or penile cesarean section, or whether they had any assisted delivery. So all these things you have to check in parity. So in obstructive history, you need to check for G, P, A and L. So G for gravida, number of conception. P for parity, number of delivery. So A for abortion and L for live birth. Okay, so these details you have to get it. So then in case if they had previous deliveries, then you have to get the details of the previous delivery also. So what is the duration of labor? So that is for the present. So how long it took for the labor? So from the first stage till the last stage, how long it took for the for them for how long it took. So that one you have to check. Then the gynecological history regarding the menstrual cycle, whether it was a normal menstrual cycle, whether they had any irregularities or regular menstrual cycle, whether they had any hormonal problem, PCOS problem. So all those things you have to get it in the obstructive history. Then surgical history, whether they have undergone any other surgeries apart from this one, whether they have undergone any other surgeries, and what is the treatment why they did the surgery. Okay, then previous management. So previous management is the drug management, the surgical management, and PT management, diet, acupressure, or herbal remedies, anything they are taking for the chief complaints. So previous management for the chief complaints, whether they have taken already any medication. Then, so all these things will be like your antenatal assessment. So almost like antenatal and postnatal assessment. Till this, it will be almost same. So this additional is regarding the fetal history. So fetal history. So what is the sex of the gender of the baby? Color, height, weight, feeding, how many times they are giving feeding in a day, whether the sucking is proper, then head circumference, reflex activity, any if the baby has any anatomical deformity or if the baby has any congenital deformity, all those things. So except this number of feeding times, everything you will be getting from the case sheet. From the medical record, you can take all the fetal history. Okay, so then apart from that, you can also check the Apgar score. So Apgar score will help you to uh, 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 decide whether the baby is in ICU or whether the baby is with the baby or whether the baby is normal or anything. So if the baby has some serious problem, then the mother will not be in a position to do exercises. So for that reason, to find out that reason only, you need to check for the Apgar score. So this Apgar score is normally taken immediately after the delivery of the baby. So it will be taken at the first minute, fifth minute, then seventh minute, then 15 minutes, like that. Okay, so this Apgar score is taken to decide the next treatment for the baby. Okay, so according to the Apgar score only, they will decide whether the baby has to be in ICU, whether the baby has to be in ventilator, whether the baby need to have a normal oxygen supply, or whether the baby can be normal and given to the mother. All these things will be decided according to this Apgar score. So here we will be checking 5 things, that is appearance of the baby. Appearance of the baby is nothing but the color of the baby, whether the baby is blue color or pale all over the body or blue only at the extremity or no sinus, the baby is extremely pink. Okay, so if the baby is completely blue, 0, only the extremity is blue, then it is 1, no blue color, then it is 2. Then next is pulse rate, whether the pulse rate is present or absent. If it is absent, then it is 0. If it is more than less than 100, it is 1. If it is more than 100, then it is 2. So the normal pulse rate is more than 100 for the baby. Okay, so according to that, you have to give the scoring. Then irritability. Irritability, in other words, we can say that is a reflex. So reflex is the response of the baby for anything. So if the baby doesn't respond for any stimulus, then it is 0. If the baby has any feeble cry or if the baby has any feeble cry or if the baby is moving its hands, then it is 1. if the baby doesn't move or if the baby moves the limbs properly, if the baby cries for the irritation you are giving, then it is 2. Okay, then next is activity of the baby. If there is no movement at all, then it is 0. If they have a flexion movement, then it is 1. If they have extension movement, then it is flexion and extension of the limbs, then it is 2. Then the respiratory effort. If the baby doesn't have any respiration, then it is 0. If the baby has a weak respiration, irregular and gasping respiration, then it is 1. If the baby has a good respiration with a normal respiratory effort and cry, then it is 2. Okay, so based on the score, if the score is less than if the score is less than 7, if the score is more than 7, it is normal. If the score is less than 4 to 6, it is fairly low. If the baby is less than 3, then it is so critical. Immediately they will be shifting to the ICU, okay, and they will be putting the baby in the ventilator. So normally it will be checked at the first minute, 5th minute and 10th minute. So first minute definitely it will be less, 5th minute fairly it will be improving. Okay, if it is doesn't improving, then they will check on 10th minute, 15th minute and 30th minute. So normally it is checked only on 1st and 5th minute. In the 5th minute itself, they will decide what is the treatment they are supposed to give to the baby. Then, so these are this is for the about the fetus. So in case if the fetus is in NICU, then you have to give them lot of education, and then only the mother will be uh, doing the exercise, will be ready to do the exercises. Otherwise the mother will not be ready to do the exercises. So you have to encourage them, you have to talk to them, educate them, then only they will accept for the PT treatment. Okay, then next is the main thing, that is your objective examination. So objective examination, first is posture. So posture you need to check in sitting, in lying and in standing. What are the abnormalities they have? So most of the time they will be having rounded shoulder and they will be having a large posture. So this is normal to have. So but like we need to correct it, but you have to check their posture in lying, sitting and standing. Okay, then so for the abdomen, so basically we will be checking for the 3 muscles, but in case if you want to check for the upper limb, lower limb also you can check. Okay, so if they feel like they are having very lesser muscle power, then you can go for upper limb checking and lower limb checking. But most of the time we will be checking, so normally we will be checking for the abdomen, back and the pelvic floor muscle. Okay, so I will teach you how to check that. Then we need to check the diastasis recti examination. Okay, then you can go for incontinence. So incontinence, you can ask how many times they have incontinence. We have many tests for checking the incontinence. So when we are seeing the urinary dysfunction chapter, we will be seeing this incontinence. Okay, so you can pick up any test for doing the incontinence, and you can do it during the examination. Okay, then pain scale, that is we can use VA scale. Then if they have edema, then you have to check whether they have pitting edema or non-pitting edema, how it is affecting the vascularity. All these things you have to check. Then you check randomly the range of motion. So you can go for visual ROM checking. Then check whether they have any stiffness or any if they say anything about the sensation, then you can go for sensation assessment. Okay, then from this you have to give the problem list, then you decide the aims and the goals. So for checking the trunk MMT, so first we will go for the abdomen muscles. So you have to we have rectus abdominis, transverse abdominis, internal and external obliques. So first is rectus abdominis. So for this you can position the mother in crook lying. Okay, so you need to give them support. In case if they have undergone a midline insertion, then you cannot do this. Okay, so you have to go for modification. So but if they have normal delivery, then you will be able to do the this assessment. So position the patient in crook lying, then you can ask them to do like this. So when they are lifting, they are supposed to look up the ceiling and lift up. So in this position, if they are able to lift, this is grade 2. Is that clear? So if they are able to lift up with the hands over the knee, this is grade 3. Okay, so if they are able to lift up with the hands over the chest, crossed over the chest, then grade 4. Then hands behind the ears, then it is grade 5. Okay, I'll show you the videos anyways. Then this is for lateral flexion. So this is for your transverse muscle. So same in crook lying, if they are able to rotate the trunk, that is flex and rotate the trunk towards one side, then this is grade 3. Okay, so this is grade 4 and this is grade 5. So that means they need to do a lateral flexion, and you're supposed to do for both the sides, for left side as well as for the right side. Is it clear? Okay, so this is for grade 3. If they are able to do the lateral flexion with the hands over the chest, then grade 4. Then hands behind the ears, then it is grade 5. So for grade 2, what you have to do is you make the person to be in high sitting and ask them to rotate the trunk. So this is counterbalancing gravity. If they are able to do in high sitting and rotate the trunk, then it is grade 2. They are not able to do, then you have to palpate and see whether they have any movement or not. Okay, so this is for lateral flexion. Then for the trunk extension, you're supposed to position the patient in prone lying with the foot over the edge of the plinth. Okay, so if you want, you can put a strap over the pelvis to stabilize the pelvis. Otherwise, they might have a little bit elevation of the pelvis. Okay. Then they are supposed to lift the head till the sternum. Okay, till the sternum. If they are able to lift up, then by the hands at the side, then it is grade 2. Okay, if they are able to lift up till the sternum, then it is grade 2. If they are able to lift up till the xiphoid process, then it is grade 3. Okay, if they are able to lift up till the xiphoid process with the hands, with the hands over the back, then it is grade 4. Then if they're able to lift up till the sternum with the hands behind the head, it is grade 5. Is that clear? This is for trunk extensors. Then for the lower abdominals, you need to position the patient in supine lying. Okay, so then in supine lying, you have to see whether the patient is able to maintain the lumbar pelvic tilt. Is that clear? So in supine lying, you have to ask the patient to lift the head, lift the legs at 90 degrees. So they are supposed to lift the legs at 90 degrees. Then you can keep the hand behind the lower back and check for the pelvic tilt. So in 90 degrees, normally the pelvic will not be tilted, it will be in neutral position. Okay, and you need to check how long they are able to maintain this position, maintain the pelvic tilt and bring the leg downwards. So they are supposed to maintain the pelvic in neutral and bring the leg down. So at one point, they will not be able to maintain the pelvic tilt and the pelvic will start to go for tilting, posterior tilting. Okay. Okay, the pelvic will go for anterior tilting. So you need the point at which the pelvic is going for anterior tilting, you have to check, then you have to measure. According to the measurement, you will be giving the grading. Is that clear? According to the measurement, we will be giving the grading. So initially when the leg is in 90-degree elevation, the pelvis will be in posterior tilt. Okay, so when they are bringing the leg down, the pelvis will go for anterior tilt. So at that point, you have to see at what point the pelvis is going for anterior tilt. So at that point, you have to do the measurement. Is that clear? So let us see the video, then we will go to the next. Okay.
This is manual muscle testing for trunk flexion. I'm going to stabilize down here at the feet with my forearm or my hand. Okay, I'm going to have the patient put their hand behind their head, and I'm going to ask them to do a sit-up, looking for them to be able to clear their scapulas off the table. Patient that can do that right there, go ahead and come on back down. That would be a grade of a 5. If they can't do that, you ask them to cross their arms in front of their chest and repeat.
For a pregnant, like immediately delivered mother, they will not be able to do with legs extended. You need to make them to do with leg in crook lying. Okay.
Repeat the same maneuver. Okay. If they can do that and clear their scapulas off the table, that would be a 4. They don't have to come up that high, just as long as they clear their scapula off the table. And if they can't do that, they put their hands straight out in front of them with their palms down, and you have them come up till they clear their scapulas right to there. That would be considered a 3. If they can't do that, relax. Basically, what you're going to do is just have them try to do a sit-up, and you're going to see if their abdominal muscles are actually contracting. Go ahead. And I can feel their abdominal muscles contracting, so I would say that they're contracting. That's a 2, 1, or a 0. Kind of hard to differentiate what grade that is. Okay? Manual muscle testing for trunk flexion. And a 5 would be that. This is mainly muscle testing for trunk extension. For grade 4 and 5, I'm going to stabilize down at the feet. I'm going to ask the patient to put their hands behind their head. And then I'm going to ask them to lift their torso up off the table. Okay? And a 5 would be that demonstration there. You can go back down. Where they can bring it up and hold it and lock it. Okay? Go ahead and come on up. If they can't come up and they start to drift a little bit, that would be considered a 4. They can't quite hold it and lock it. Okay? If they can't do either one of those, then you would have them put their hands to their side with their palms down. Okay? You would stabilize again here at the pelvis or down at the legs. And then you would ask them to repeat the same thing. Just go ahead and come off the table. Palm side. If they can't do the one behind their hand, If they can't do that, you're going to keep them in this position and you're going to stabilize either at the feet or at the pelvis, and just ask them to come up off the table. Okay, go ahead, come up. And then you're just really contracting, feeling for contraction of the musculature, and that's a 2, 1, or a 0 on a manual muscle testing for trunk extension. This is manual muscle testing for trunk flexion. I'm going to stabilize down here.
Can you see this?
The feet with my forearm or my hand. Okay, I'll have the patient put their hand behind their head, and I'm going to ask them to do a sit-up, looking for them to be able to clear their scapulas off the table. Patient that can do that right there, go ahead and come on back down. That would be a grade of a 5. If they can't do that, you ask them to cross their arms in front of their chest and repeat the same maneuver. Okay, if they can do that and clear their scapulas off the table, that would be a 4. They don't have to come up that high, just as long as they clear their scapula. This is manual muscle testing for trunk rotation. The first step will be hands behind the head, and basically what I'm looking for is for her to be able to do a sit-up with a rotation, clearing her scapula off the table. Okay, so go ahead and take your right arm to your left hip and come up off the table. Okay, back down, come on up the other way. Okay, back down. If they can't do that, then they would put their hands in front of them like so, and you would ask them to repeat the same maneuver. Go ahead. I'll do a better job of holding you next time. Go the other way. Okay, can clear up. If they can't do that, then they would put their palms down like so. Go ahead and do the same procedure. Okay, cleared. Okay, cleared. Okay, so that would be a 5, 4, and a 3 based on the positioning of their hands. If they can't do a grade 3, you could just ask them to stay in that position, go ahead and come on up off. And basically you're just feeling for if the abdominal muscles are contracting. Okay, relax. And that would be a 2, 1, or 0, depending on what type of contraction you get, or if you don't get a contraction. Manual muscle testing for trunk rotation.
Okay, one more video I'll just show you, and we will finish off the class.
All right, guys. So today we're going to talk about the 3 core stability exercise. If you round your back, so keep your hands here.
Okay, not this one. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so this is like core abdominal muscle strengthening. Okay, so which we will not be able to perform this immediately after the delivery, but in case if the mother is coming to us later, then we will be able to do this. That means in some of the time, the mother will be coming to physiotherapy after 1.5 months or 2 months. So in that case, we will be able to perform this kind of assessment.
This is the sit-up test, okay? So put your hands across your chest. You'll hold their feet down a little bit, and I'll say sit up as slowly as possible. You have to do it slowly because what will happen is if you don't, they'll just kind of jerk themselves up and lay back down. Okay. If somebody has the inability to flex their lumbar spine, they will not pass the test. Because to pass the test, you've got to be able to curl your trunk. So can you sit up without my holding your feet? You can. So you'll see some people who try to sit up and they can't sit up. That may just be the fact that the trunk mass is way too heavy for the leg mass. Most guys will have that problem. He's much heavier up here than he is down here. So if you were to try to sit up, go real slow, you'll notice his legs want to pick up off the floor, right? See they come off the floor? So what'll happen is they just, but if you literally just hold them down a little bit and now sit up, and then it goes, well, that obviously the abdominals are strong enough to do the job. It's just that there was a mass problem. Lay on back down. So for Brad, if I give him a little pressure here, he can sit up. I want to see articulated sitting up, not hip flexors on an isometric abs. I want to see abs flexing the spine to sit up and lay back down. If they can pass that test, I move on. There are people who cannot pass this test, believe it or not. You will hold their feet down, and they will look like a fish out of water. They'll literally just do that. They don't go anywhere. As sad as that is, you don't need to do any more abdominal testing after that. That's under a 3, and they're just, the rest of your program is like, yeah. Okay, the next, so that is what is called a top-down flexion, or like an upper abdominal type test. The lower abdominal test has got to be bottom-up flexion, so it's pelvis on trunk on trunk on pelvis. So the way that you test the lower abdominal flexion is with the leg raise and lower test. Bend your knees. So there's like a bunch of different ways to do this. With somebody who has tight hamstrings, you can't really do the classic test, which is raise your legs straight up in the air and then lower them down. Because if they have tight hamstrings, they can't get to the position. Then are you testing their abs or are you testing their inability to, is it a mobility problem or a strength problem? So I've gotten into the habit of actually putting people in this position first. Go to 90-90, tabletop. I've gotten the habit of bringing people to here and seeing if they can push down against my hand and then asking them to slowly lay their legs down. So you don't run into that hamstring problem at all doing this, right? The classic test is like this. Raise your legs straight up in the air. Okay, from there, slowly lower down. And the scoring goes like this. Between 0 and 30 is a 3. Between 30 and 60 is a 4. And between 60 and 90 is a 5. Okay? So it's pretty simple. Now, I don't know if he's a 5 yet because I'm not monitoring him. So bend your knees, lift your hips, and I go right on the belly button. Now, truth be told, you're supposed to be at the belly button, but some people's apex of their lumbar curve is above the navel. So then you'd have to move their hand up to what you feel to be the largest point in their curve. Okay? Now, bring your legs up in the air. You have to be a little careful with this. You can hurt your hand with people who don't have a lot of fat back there because their spinous process literally like crushes. Don't do that. Like crushes your hand, right? So you bring them up. I'll usually give them a little assistance and I'll say, hold against my hand here. Hands across your chest. Sorry. Okay. And slowly lower your legs down. Don't lose pressure. Don't lose pressure. Don't lose pressure. Don't lose pressure. And Brad's a 5. He succeeded in maintaining full pressure all the way down. That's very, very, very rare. Brad is an athlete, so he gets a 5. Let's do the alternate test. So go to tabletop. Okay, and then pressure on my hand. Now, if you go to tabletop and they can't push on your hand, that's it. Test is done. 90, push on my hand. Push, 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 push. Slowly extend your legs. Pressure's good, pressure's good, pressure's good, pressure's good, pressure's good, pressure's good, pressure's good. Again, that's extremely rare to be able to do that. So that is upper abs. Then that was lower abs. We have 2 more ab tests to do. We have rotational strength and we have lateral flexion strength, which are both controlled by the obliques. So for rotational strength, go ahead and bend your knees. I will drop the table all the way down for this. Okay, interlock your hands up like this. Okay. Now, what I want him to be able to do, put your feet together, is I want him to be able to maintain neutral position while I push and pull. But here's the problem. Bend your legs a little more. If I push and pull like this, and he doesn't weigh anything, as I push and pull, he's actually going to slide across the table. So what I do is, you just bring your knee up onto the table like this, and that stops that problem from occurring. Lock your elbows, they have to be locked. I then hook here, and push here, and I make the test by leaning. So now I'm leaning to my left, which allows me to pull here and push here. Okay? Stay where you are. I'm not gonna win. Yeah!
You shall not pass.
What I'm looking for is I'm watching his midsection, sorry, Brad, and I'm looking to see, does his pelvis rotate on his ribs, or his ribs rotate on his pelvis, or can he maintain this position? Okay? Then I'm going to do the opposite. Now, one way to do this is just walk to the other side of the table, put the other knee up, or if you want to cheat, you can just switch your knee and put it at his hip, and then pull here and push here. It's just about the same. Okay? So now resist again. And you want 50-50. If I'm pulling here with 10 pounds, I'm pushing here with 10 pounds. If I don't, and I push here more than I'm pulling here, resist, I roll him. That's not a fair test. That's not him being weak. That's just him rolling on the table. Okay? So that was the test for the upper abs, the lower abs, rotational strength. Now we're going to go lateral strength. Okay? Lay on your side. So the way you test the lateral strength stuff is you're going to come into this position, hands across your chest. Good. And you're going to hold the feet down, and you're going to have them do a lateral sit-up against resistance and time it. And you're going to compare right versus left. So the way I do this is I'll climb on the table. I'll put my knee down and my foot up over their feet, and I'll sit down like this. Now I'm not crushing her because I'm sitting on my heels. And then I'll put my hands on the knees like this. So I got her down in a lot of different places. Does that hurt at all? No. Okay, are you ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, lift. 1, 2, 3, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, that's good. 14 seconds. Now the rule is they have to have the bottom rib clear. So the bottom rib must be clear. In other words, do it again, but don't clear your bottom rib. That's not acceptable. That's not a lift. Clear your bottom rib. That's a lift. Okay, come on down. Okay, so that was 14 seconds. That was good. Now flip on over. Okay, now just so you know, it's not a bad idea to not count out loud. Because if you count out loud, exactly what you're saying is going to happen. They're going to know what the other score was. And when they get to 14, they'll lie down. Or they'll try to beat their own score. So sometimes just count in your head and then do it on the other side and write it down if you think that's a possibility. Anyway, here we go. And go. 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. What did we just learn? I said, based on the anti-rotation press, that I thought she had a weak right oblique. And what did we just confirm?
Okay. So the last one, we will be able to check their core. If they really perform this, it will be they are having their maximum strength. Okay, so you can do the last test on yourself and see how much you are having your muscle power. Okay, so we will stop here. We will continue the remaining in the next class. Okay, anybody have any other doubt?
No doubt for me, Miss.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Miss.